In this heartwarming moment, Barron Trump answers a little girl's innocent question about God. His emotional response left everyone in tears. Watch the full video to see why this moment went viral. Where are you watching from? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to like, share, and please complete our 1,000 subscribers for more inspiring stories. It was a crisp autumn afternoon in New York City. The streets were bustling with people, the sound of honking cars and distant chatter filling the air. Barron Trump, the youngest son of President Donald Trump, was walking through Central Park with a small security detail. Though he was often in the public eye, Barron preferred to keep a low profile, especially when he was out for a quiet stroll. But today, fate had other plans. As Barron passed by a group of street performers near the Bethesda fountain, he noticed a little girl sitting on a bench nearby. She couldn't have been more than 8 years old, with curly brown hair and a bright pink jacket that stood out against the gray tones of the park. She was clutching a stuffed bear in one hand and a half-eaten ice cream cone in the other. What caught Barron's attention, however, was the look on her face, a mix of curiosity and hesitation, as if she wanted to say something but didn't know how. Barron slowed his pace, his security team following suit. He glanced at the girl, offering a small, polite smile. To his surprise, she stood up and took a few steps toward him. The security team tensed slightly, but Barron raised a hand to signal that it was okay. He crouched down to her level, his calm demeanor putting her at ease. "Hi," the girl said softly, her voice barely above a whisper. "Are you Barron Trump?" Barron nodded, his smile widening. "Yes, I am. What's your name?" "I'm Emma," she replied, her confidence growing. "I saw you on TV once. My mom said you're important." Barron chuckled lightly. "Well, I don't know about important, but it's nice to meet you, Emma." For a moment there was silence. Emma shifted her weight from one foot to the other, her eyes darting to the ground before meeting Barron's again. She seemed to be gathering her courage. Finally, she spoke. "Can I ask you something?" she said, her voice trembling slightly. "Of course," Barron replied, his tone gentle. "You can ask me anything." Emma took a deep breath, her small hands clutching her stuffed bear tighter. "Do you believe in God?" The question caught Barron off guard. He wasn't expecting something so profound from someone so young. He paused, his mind racing as he considered how to respond. The security team exchanged glances, unsure of how to proceed, but Barron remained focused on Emma. "That's a really big question," he said finally, his voice thoughtful. "Why do you ask?" Emma's eyes welled up with tears, and she looked down at her bear. "My grandma died last week. My mom said she's in heaven now, but I don't know if that's true. I just want to know if she's okay." Barron's heart ached for the little girl. He could see the pain and confusion in her eyes, and he knew he had to choose his words carefully. He reached out and placed a hand on her shoulder, his touch reassuring. "Emma," he began, his voice steady but filled with compassion, "I do believe in God, and I believe that your grandma is in a better place watching over you." Emma looked up at him, her tears spilling over. "Really?" she whispered. Barron nodded. "Really. And you know what? I think she'd want you to be happy and remember all the good times you had together." For a moment, Emma didn't say anything. Then, to everyone's surprise, she threw her arms around Barron in a tight hug. Barron hesitated for a split second before wrapping his arms around her in return. The security team looked on, their usual stoic expression softened by the touching moment. As Emma pulled away, she wiped her tears with the back of her hand and gave Barron a small smile. "Thank you," she said quietly. "I feel better now." Barron smiled back. "I'm glad. If you ever need to talk, just remember that it's okay to ask questions, okay?" Emma nodded, clutching her bear tightly. "Okay." Barron stood up, giving her one last smile before continuing his walk through the park. As he walked away, he couldn't help but feel a sense of fulfillment. It wasn't every day that he had the chance to make such a meaningful connection with someone, especially a child. Little did he know, This encounter was about to change everything. Barron Trump's encounter with Emma in Central Park had been brief, but it left a lasting impression on him. As he walked away, he couldn't shake the image of her tearful eyes and the way her small voice had trembled when she asked about God. It was a moment of raw vulnerability, one that reminded him of the power of human connection. Unbeknownst to Barron, however, their conversation hadn't gone unnoticed. A passerby, a young woman named Sarah, had been sitting on a nearby bench, scrolling through her phone. She had glanced up just as Emma approached Barron, and something about the scene had made her pause. Without thinking, she pulled out her phone and began recording. At first, Sarah wasn't sure why she felt compelled to capture the moment. Maybe it was the contrast between Barron's towering figure and Emma's small, fragile frame. Or maybe it was the way Barron had crouched down to her level, his demeanor so gentle and patient. Whatever the reason, she kept recording until the very end, when Emma hugged Barron and walked away with a smile. Later that evening, Sarah uploaded the video to her social media accounts with a simple caption: "You never know what someone is going through." This moment between Barron Trump and a little girl in Central Park today reminded me of the power of kindness. She didn't expect much to come of it. After all, she only had a few hundred followers. But within hours, the video began to spread like wildfire. People were captivated by the raw emotion of the moment, the way Barron had listened so intently, the way Emma's tears had turned into a smile. Comments poured in from all over the world. "This is the side of Barron we never get to see." That little girl's question broke my heart. Barron's response was perfect. Who knew Barron Trump could be so compassionate? By the next morning, the video had gone viral. News outlets picked it up, and soon it was everywhere. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, even mainstream media. Everyone was talking about the Central Park moment, as it came to be known. Barron, meanwhile, had no idea any of this was happening. He had returned home after his walk, his mind still on Emma. He found himself thinking about her question, "Do you believe in God?" and the way she had looked at him, searching for answers. It was a heavy burden for someone so young to carry, and Barron couldn't help but feel a sense of responsibility. Later that evening, as he sat in his room scrolling through his phone, he noticed a flood of notifications. His social media accounts, which he rarely used, were blowing up. Confused, he clicked on one of the messages and was immediately directed to Sarah's video. His heart skipped a beat as he watched the footage. There he was, crouched down in front of Emma, his voice calm and reassuring. He hadn't realized how intimate the moment had looked from an outsider's perspective. For a split second, he felt a pang of anxiety. He had always valued his privacy, and the thought of millions of people dissecting such a personal moment was unsettling. But as he read through the comments, his anxiety began to fade. People weren't criticizing him or mocking the moment. They were praising it. They called him kind, compassionate, and genuine. Some even shared their own stories of loss and faith, inspired by his words to Emma. Barron leaned back in his chair, a small smile playing on his lips. Maybe this wasn't such a bad thing after all. Meanwhile, Emma's life had also been turned upside down, though she didn't fully understand why. Her mother, Laura, had been shocked when a friend sent her the viral video. At first, she was furious that someone had recorded her daughter without permission. But as she watched the video, her anger gave way to something else: gratitude. Laura had been struggling to help Emma cope with the loss of her grandmother. The little girl had been withdrawn and quiet, refusing to talk about her feelings. But after her conversation with Barron, something had shifted. Emma seemed lighter, more like her old self. She had even asked Laura if they could visit her grandmother's favorite park over the weekend. When Laura showed Emma the video, the little girl's eyes lit up. "That's me," she exclaimed, pointing at the screen. "And that's Barron. He's really nice, Mom." Laura smiled, ruffling her daughter's hair. "I'm glad you think so, sweetheart. It looks like he helped you a lot." Emma nodded, her expression serious. "He said Grandma's in a better place. Do you think that's true?" Laura's eyes filled with tears. "I do, baby, I really do, really." As the video continued to spread, the media frenzy grew. Reporters reached out to Barron's team for comment, but he declined to speak publicly about the incident. Instead, he released a brief statement through his spokesperson. Barron Trump was deeply moved by his conversation with Emma in Central Park. He believes in the importance of kindness and compassion, especially in difficult times. He hopes this moment serves as a reminder that we all have the power to make a difference in someone's life, no matter how small the gesture may seem. The statement only fueled the public's fascination. People wanted to know more about Barron, who he was, what he believed in, and why this moment had resonated so deeply. For the first time, the youngest Trump was stepping into the spotlight on his own terms. The viral video of Barron Trump and Emma in Central Park had become a cultural phenomenon. It wasn't just a fleeting moment on the internet. It had sparked a larger conversation about kindness, faith, and the power of human connection. News outlets ran segments analyzing the interaction. Psychologists weighed in on its emotional impact, and social media users shared their own stories of unexpected acts of kindness. For Barron, however, the attention was both a blessing and a challenge. He had always been a private person, preferring to stay out of the spotlight. But now, he found himself at the center of a media storm. Reporters camped outside his family's residence, hoping to catch a glimpse of him or get a statement. Paparazzi followed him whenever he left the house, their cameras flashing relentlessly. Despite the chaos, Barron remained calm. He had always been level-headed, a trait he inherited from his mother, Melania. She had taught him the importance of staying true to oneself, no matter the circumstances. And so, Barron decided to handle the situation with grace and humility. One evening, as Barron was reviewing his schedule for the week, he received an unexpected phone call. It was from a producer at a popular daytime talk show. They wanted to invite him to appear on their program to discuss the viral moment and its impact. Barron was hesitant at first. He had never been one for public speaking, and the thought of being interviewed on live television made him nervous. But as he thought about it more, he realized that this could be an opportunity to share a message that was bigger than himself. After consulting with his family, Barron agreed to the interview. The news spread quickly, and soon the entire country was buzzing with anticipation. What would Barron say? How would he address the viral moment that had captured the hearts of millions? The day of the interview arrived, and Barron found himself sitting across from the show's charismatic host, Lisa Monroe. The studio audience was packed, and millions more were tuning in from home. Barron took a deep breath, reminding himself to stay calm. Lisa began with a warm smile. Barron, thank you so much for being here today. I think I speak for everyone when I say that we've all been deeply moved by your interaction with Emma in Central Park. Can you tell us a little bit about what was going through your mind during that moment? Barron nodded, his expression thoughtful. To be honest, I wasn't expecting it. Emma came up to me with this question about God, and I could see how much it meant to her. She was carrying a lot of pain, and I just wanted to give her some comfort. I think we all have moments in life where we're searching for answers, and sometimes all we need is someone to listen. Lisa leaned in, her eyes filled with empathy. Your response to her was so heartfelt. How did it feel to see the video go viral and to hear all the positive reactions from people around the world? Barron smiled softly. It was overwhelming, to be honest. I never expected that moment to resonate with so many people. But I'm grateful that it did. If it's helped even one person feel a little less alone, then I think it's worth it. The audience erupted into applause, and Lisa nodded in agreement. That's a beautiful perspective, Barron. Now, I understand that you've been in touch with Emma and her family since the video went viral. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Barron's smile widened. Yes, I've had the chance to speak with Emma and her mom, Laura. They're wonderful people, and I'm so glad that I could be a small part of their journey. Emma is such a brave little girl, and I know she's going to do amazing things in life. At home, Emma and her mother watched the interview together. When Barron mentioned her name, Emma's face lit up with pride. He's talking about me, Mom, she exclaimed, bouncing up and down on the couch. Laura smiled, her heart swelling with gratitude. He is, sweetheart. And he's right. You are brave. Emma's expression turned serious as she looked at her mother. Do you think Grandma would be proud of me too? Laura pulled her daughter into a tight hug. I know she would, baby. I know she would. As the interview came to an end, Lisa turned to Barron with one final question. Barron, this moment has clearly had a profound impact on you and on so many others. What do you hope people take away from it? Barron paused, choosing his words carefully. I hope it reminds people to be kind to one another, to listen, and to be there for each other. Life can be tough, but we're all in this together. If we can show a little compassion, even in the smallest ways, we can make a big difference. The audience rose to their feet, giving Barron a standing ovation. As he left the stage, he felt a sense of peace. He had turned a fleeting moment into something meaningful, and he knew that this was just the beginning. Barron Trump's interview had struck a chord with millions of people around the world. His message of kindness and compassion resonated deeply, and the viral moment in Central Park had become a symbol of hope in a world that often felt divided. But for Barron, the journey was far from over. He knew that this was just the beginning of something much bigger. A few weeks after the interview, Barron received a letter from Emma and her mother, Laura. In it, they expressed their gratitude for his kindness and shared how much his words had meant to them. They also invited him to join them for a special event at Emma's school, where she was participating in a charity fundraiser for children who had lost loved ones. Barron was touched by the invitation. He had grown fond of Emma and her family, and he knew how important this event was to them. Without hesitation, he accepted. The day of the fundraiser arrived, and Barron made his way to Emma's school. As he walked into the gymnasium, he was greeted by a sea of smiling faces. The room was decorated with colorful banners and balloons, and the energy was palpable. Emma spotted him immediately and ran over, her face lighting up with excitement. "Barron, you came!" she exclaimed, throwing her arms around him. Barron laughed, returning the hug. "Of course I came. I wouldn't miss it for the world." Emma took his hand and led him to the front of the room where Laura was waiting. "Thank you for being here," Laura said, her eyes filled with gratitude. "It means so much to us." Barron smiled. "The pleasure is mine. This is an incredible event, and I'm honored to be a part of it." The fundraiser was a huge success. There were games, raffles, and performances, all aimed at raising money for children who had experienced loss. Barron participated in the activities, taking the time to talk to the kids and listen to their stories. He was struck by their resilience and strength, and he felt a renewed sense of purpose. As the event drew to a close, Emma took the stage to deliver a short speech. She stood at the microphone, her hands trembling slightly, but her voice was clear and strong. "Hi, everyone," she began. "My name is Emma, and I want to thank you all for coming today. A few weeks ago, I was really sad because my grandma died, but then I met someone who helped me feel better. His name is Barron Trump, and he's here today." The crowd erupted into applause, and Barron felt a lump form in his throat. Emma continued, her voice filled with determination. "Barron told me that my grandma is in a better place, and that she's watching over me. He also said that it's okay to ask questions and to talk about how we feel. So today, I want to say thank you to Barron, and to all of you, for being here, and for helping kids like me." The room was silent for a moment, and then the applause began again, louder this time. Barron stood up and joined Emma on stage, giving her a hug as the crowd cheered. After the fundraiser, Barron knew that he wanted to do more. He had seen firsthand the impact that kindness and compassion could have, and he was determined to make a difference. With the support of his family, he decided to launch a foundation dedicated to helping children who had experienced loss. The Barron Trump Foundation would provide resources, support, and counseling to children and families in need. It would also create a platform for kids to share their stories and connect with others who understood what they were going through. At the foundation's launch event, Barron stood before a crowd of supporters, his voice filled with passion. "This foundation is about more than just helping kids who have lost loved ones," he said. "It's about reminding them that they're not alone and that there are people who care about them. It's about showing them that even in the darkest times, there is hope." The crowd erupted into applause, and Barron felt a sense of fulfillment unlike anything he had ever experienced. He knew that this was just the beginning. but he was ready for the journey ahead. Years later, the Barron Trump Foundation had become a beacon of hope for countless children and families. Barron had grown into a compassionate and dedicated leader, using his platform to make a positive impact on the world. And Emma, now a teenager, had become an ambassador for the foundation, sharing her story and inspiring others to find strength in the face of adversity. The viral moment in Central Park had been the catalyst for something much bigger, a movement of kindness and compassion that touched the lives of millions. And as Barron looked back on that fateful day, he knew that it had all started with a simple question from a little girl. Do you believe in God? Thank you for watching till the end video. I hope you enjoyed the story. If you did, don't hesitate to like the video and share it with your friends too. Subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell for more fascinating stories.